Have you ever wondered why the idea of socialism keeps coming back throughout history? From ancient empires to modern revolutions, it pops up again and again in cultures that had no contact with each other. A Russian mathematician named Igor Shafarevich asked this exact question back in the 1970s, and his conclusion was startling. He argued that socialism isn't just a modern economic idea. It's a deep, recurring pattern in human history, and its end goal isn't really prosperity or fairness, but something much darker. Shafarevich dug way back. He looked at the total control of the Inca Empire, the rigid state planning of ancient Sumeria, and saw the same basic blueprint. He concluded that socialism, in all its forms, is driven by what he called a death instinct for civilization itself. It's not just about politics. It's a kind of impulse that seeks to erase the fundamental pillars of human society: private property, family, religion, national identity, and even our individuality. It replaces them with a forced, collective equality where the person is swallowed up by the state or the abstract collective. And according to his research, this impulse always shows up in one of three forms. First form: the apocalyptic socialist. Shafarevich called this the chiliastic type. This is socialism as a blind, burning faith. It's driven by the belief that a sudden, violent revolution will smash the old, corrupt world and instantly create a paradise on earth. Think of some early Christian radical sects or certain revolutionary movements. It's all about emotion, a desperate hope for immediate salvation through chaos. Its followers aren't interested in detailed plans, they're driven by a powerful, almost religious feeling that the great collapse is the only way forward. Second form: the rational utopian socialist. This is socialism as an intellectual project. This is the world of philosophers like Plato, Thomas More, or Campanella. They sit down and use pure reason to design a perfect society from scratch, a utopia. They write elaborate plans where everything is shared, every hour of the day is planned for the collective good, and conflict is designed away. It seems logical on paper. But the problem is, to make living, breathing people fit into a perfect theoretical blueprint, you inevitably need massive control. You have to force reality to match the idea. Third form: the state despotic socialist. This, Shafarevich says, is where the other two types almost always lead. This is socialism fully realized as a machine of state power. The government takes total control of the economy, culture, and private life. The ancient Inca state did this. The Soviet Union, Maoist China, and the Khmer Rouge are modern examples. It borrows the utopian dream as propaganda but uses it to justify a permanent system of bureaucracy, surveillance, and repression. It's the most stable and deadly form, capable of lasting for decades, always promising the future paradise while crushing human initiative in the present. The chilling part of Shafarevich's analysis is the pattern. No matter which form it starts as, the emotional apocalyptic version, the cool rational blueprint, or the outright state tyranny, they all move toward the same goal: dismantling what makes us human. The family is a distraction from loyalty to the state. Private property is a sin. Individual thought is a threat. It all must be melted down for the sake of the collective. Now, I find this view fascinating, though I tend to look at things through a slightly different lens. As someone with a background in systems analysis, I see this recurring pattern not necessarily as a death instinct, but maybe as a kind of societal trap. The initial conditions, a hunger for perfect justice or a rage against the current system, trigger the same feedback loops every single time. The push for total equality destroys the incentives that create wealth. The suppression of dissent kills innovation. The pattern repeats because the mechanics of the system, once set in motion, lead to the same disastrous outcomes. To avoid that end result, you'd have to change the system's core rules so fundamentally that it wouldn't even be socialism anymore. So, what's the takeaway from this dive into history? Shafarevich's work forces us to ask a tough question. When we hear calls to tear down existing structures in the name of a perfect future, which pattern are we seeing? Is it the emotional appeal of the apocalyptic clean slate? The seductive, rational plan designed on a whiteboard? And can we honestly say that history gives us any reason to believe it won't culminate in the third, despotic form, in the loss of freedom, dignity, and ultimately life itself? The warning here is that socialism, in its essence, may not be about building a better world. It may be about the idea of a better world used as a tool for unbuilding the world that exists with all its flaws and all its essential human foundations. And once those foundations are gone, they are incredibly hard to rebuild.